we are back and we are working with what we left off yesterday. So yesterday we were left with forms, and today my goal is to complete the forms. So let's quickly go through over this. Let's continue expanding our application by allowing users to add new nodes. You can find the code of our current application here. Let's see, R2 of 1. Yeah, they do have this here. Note for front ends. Mm, 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 mm. So, let's see. I would like to open this for a long time. Saving the notes in the component state to get our page to update. Let's see. Let me quickly look at what it is has to offer. So this is my node component, and this is the yeah. I think it's good to go, I guess. So currently I do have something like this and inside something like this. So let me quickly look at this. Hmm. Okay. So let me reload this and saving the nodes in the component state to get our page to update when new nodes are added. It's best to store the nodes in the app component state. Let's import the useState function to use to define a piece of state that get initialized with the initial nodes array passed in the props. Okay, so inside my code, they want me to do something like this. So let's quickly change my repositories. So inside the let's say this part two, I would like to add a component called Node.js, and inside that I will have this thing copy here and paste it, and in my app I will have this component here, and I think it should work. Components node. Okay, let me see if it's not working. Mm, in my node, that is what like I'm format document, export default node. In my app component, let me rewrite this. Import node from components, and this will be no. Nah, yeah, yeah. So, so inside the app, they want me to use import use state from React, and here comes this state nodes, set nodes inside this props dot nodes, and let me get the data. Where is my main JSX? So this is my main JSX. Inside that I do have some let's say this. I think it should be good to go now. And what I'm doing is, classic identified nodes has already been declared. So inside this, I will use props. Okay. The command is the use state function has the piece of state stored in nodes with the array of nodes passed in props. Okay, so what? So what? Uh, let's see. Let's see. I have a network tab here. I have a console here. So, so if we wanted to start with an empty list of nodes, we would set the initial value as an empty array, and since the props would not be used, we could omit the props parameter from the function definition. Let's say gst add dot stage add node component and update my main app component as well. So now um, inside my app component, they want me to let's say remove this and remove this and put an empty array. So okay, let's stick with the initial value passed in props for the timing. Let's add an HTML form to the component that will be used for adding new nodes. Okay. So I have a function called inside the app component called node add a node event event dot prevent default for reloading the page, and inside that all I'm doing, okay, so I'm just logging the click event and event dot target. Now where does this want me to put it? Notes after the UL. After the UL, I will have my form tag. Inside that, I will have one input and then one button. What the hell, man? Okay, so a button will be type of submit. Yeah. Okay, so now on the form tag, I will have my on submit event, and inside that, I will call the add node. So let's see. React is fun. Now, if I save, click the event happen, and what is logging is that event.target. So in that, I will have my inputs. We have added the add node function as an event handler to the form element that will be called when the form is submitted by clicking the submit button. We use the method discussed in part 1 for defining our event handlers. Well, yeah, the event parameter is the event that triggers the call to the event handler function. The event handler immediately calls the event dot prevent default method, which prevents the default action of submitting a form. The default action would, among other things, cause the page to reload. Yep, I have already seen that. The target in this case is the form that we have defined in our component. How do we access the data contained in the form's input element? For that, we have something called control component. There are so many ways to accomplish this. The first method we will take a look at this is through the use of so-called control components. So let's add a new piece of state called new node for storing the user submitted input, and let's set it as the input element's value attribute. Okay, so they created a new node, new state variable called new node set new node, and the initial value is new node like this, and inside the input value, inside this input, they have used the value to new node. Okay, so let's see now what's change. Okay, so value is new node. Let's see. So it's a read-only field, right? This only text stored as the initial value of the new node. A state appears in the input element, but the value text cannot be edited. The console displays a warning that gives us a clue as to what might be wrong. Since we assigned a piece of the app component state as the value attribute of the input element, the app component now controls the behavior of the input element. To enable editing of the input element, we have to register an event handler that synchronizes the changes made to the input with the component state. So we have to like create another function called this handle not change. So let me put this here, handle not change, and inside the input, I will have to use on change event, which is handle not change. Inside the input, let's see something like this. It's on change. Okay. We have now registered an event handler to the on change attribute of the form's input element. Okay, so let me first comment this out. stgn.gst update or update app component and boom. Okay, so we have now registered an event handler to the onChange attribute of the form's input element, something like this. The event handler is called every time a change occurs in the input elements. The event handler function receives the event object as its event parameter, which is something like this inside our handle not change. So we are passing event as props, and I am getting the value with this event dot target dot value, and I am updating my state new node state to be the default value. Okay, so let's say if my default value is an empty string, so now it will be, when I click save, it should be pushed inside this, and let me this. Okay, so empty string. Okay, so now the target property of the event object now correspond to the controlled input element, and event dot target dot value refers to the input value of that element. Note that we did not need to call the event dot prevent default method like we did in the onSubmit event handler. This is because no default action occurs on an input change. Unlike a form submission, we can follow along in the console to see how the event handler is called. Like typing text. Yeah, I saw that. You did remember to install React Dev Tools, right? Good. You can directly view how the state changes from the React Dev Tools. Now, the app component's new node state reflects the current value of the input, which means that we can complete the add node function for creating new nodes. So, uh, inside the add a new node, they want me to do something like this. Okay, let me copy and let's update my add new node. Let's see what actually they have done. So, they have created an object called node object. It it has three property, which is content, like the node we are passing here. Then there is an important it generates mat.random less than 0.5 and id, which is the length considering it string. And this set nodes we are concatenating nodes, the original one with the concat node object. Okay, so let me see what exactly did we change here. So now, and if it pass, okay, that is good. But how it's worked? So for that, so let's see, we are here, right? And let me close this up. And this is essentially an object, array of object. So what we are doing is we are essentially pushing our things inside this nodes data. So nodes array. So if I write something like this, so what we are doing essentially is so either this will be true or false. So from that point on, this is something like the original nodes array we concat with new of node objects. So basically, I can write okay, so okay. So add update not a function to update UI if we add new nodes. This should do the job. And now we have something like this. Uh, so let me read this. First, we create a new object for the node called node object that will receive its content from the components in node state. The unique identifier ID is generated based on the total number of nodes. This method works for our application since nodes are never deleted. With the help of the mat.random function, our nodes has a 50% chance of being marked as important. The new node is added to the list of nodes using the concat array method introduced in part 1. The method does not mutate the original nodes array but rather creates a new copy of the array with the new item added to the end. This is important since we must never mutate state directly in React. Yeah. The event handler also resets the value of the control output. With this one, we can find the code of our control. Nah, I don't need it because I already go through all of this. Filtering displayed elements. Let's add some new functionality to our application that allows us to only view the important nodes. Let's add a place of state that app component that keeps track of which nodes should be displayed. So for that, let's show all. Let's add this inside here. Let's see. I did. Let's change the component so that it stores a list of all the nodes to be displayed in the nodes to show variable. The items on the list depend on the state of the component. Okay, so they want me to create a variable called this. What it does is based on the show also value, it displays the node or filter which are important to true. So let's say I am adding a variable here. And let's see, I can add inside UL. Uh, 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 this one, notes to show. The definition of the notes to show variable is rather compact. The definition is the conditional operator also found in many other programming languages. The operator function as follows. Yeah, yeah, I mean, I know all this. In the sense, value of note is either true or false, which means that we can simply write something like this. We showed the comparison operator first to emphasize in imported in JavaScript value one double equal to value 2 does not always work as expected. When performing comparison, it's therefore safer to explicitly use 3 equal to. You can read more about this topic here. I know that. You can test out the filtering function by changing the initial value of the show all state. Next, let's add functionality that enables user to toggle the show off. So basically, I'm adding inside my app component a div just after this. Show important node, show all, show important node like this. Yep, this is good enough. Though I generally prefer, yep. So let me get this. Add show important node feature. So main. Okay, so this is good. Let me have a short break and I will get back to you. Okay, we are back. We are back. Oh, so let's continue working on our challenge. So, where were we? Okay, let's load this. Okay, okay. So now the display notes all versus important are controlled with a button. The event handler for the button is so simple that it has been defined directly in the attribute of the button element. The event handler switches the value of show all from true to false and vice versa. So, I can do something like this. Da-da, da-da-da, okay. So the existing value, change it to uh, if it's true, then important. If it's not, then all. Okay. So in my exercise, in this first exercise, we will start working on an application that will be further developed in the later exercise. In related sets of exercise, it is sufficient to return the final version of your application. Okay, so 2.6 the phone book step one. So let's say in my app component, it's something like this. Yeah. Okay. So let me quickly go through this. So what do they have is person. By default, object is Arto Hellas. If I add a new name inside the phone book, then it should let me add. Okay, that's what I would like to do. Okay. So inside, let's see, when I click on the button inside this div on submit, I would like to call add number, and I would like to create a function called add number here, and what I will do is set new name. Okay, let me pass this event. So const name is equal to event dot target dot value, and the set persons is his name. And before that, I would like to have event dot prevent default value. So let's see if it's worked or not. Okay, the value is gone, but let's see. Okay, the new name state is meant for controlling the form input element. Sometimes it can be useful to render state and other variables as text for debugging purposes. You can temporarily add the following element to the rendered component. Hmm. Okay, this might be an issue. Well, this is something really abrupt, but I am ending my stream today. I have some personal business that I need to take care immediately. I'm really sorry for that. We will continue this from tomorrow.